مرحبا كيفكن؟ اليوم today we're gonna talk about the present tense المضارع بالفصحى or modern standard Arabic. How do you conjugate verbs in modern standard Arabic in the present tense? So بالمضارع. What's nice about Fusha is that you conjugate the simple present and the present continuous in the same way, unlike dialects. The simple present is when an action takes place in a story, you're telling what happened in the story at that time, or when it's something habitual, something you usually do every Monday or every day or every evening, or it's a fact. Like, I don't drink wine. Okay, my father smokes. These are all verbs in the simple present, so they're not happening right now. The present continuous is a verb that is happening now. It's like in English, the verbs ending with ing. I am going to the market. I am drinking tea. Okay, that's the present continuous. بالفصحى, both the simple present and the present continuous are conjugated in the same way. So let me share my screen with you and show you how to conjugate بالفصحى. So we're gonna do المضارع, and the examples we're gonna conjugate together are form 1 verbs. Form 1 verbs are verbs with 3 consonants and no long vowels. So, like kataba, the 3 consonants are kaf, ta, and ba. This is the root of the verb. For it to be the root, the 3 consonants have to come in this order. So first the kaf, then the ta, then the ba. If, let's say, the ba and the ta are switched around, kaf, ba, ta, then it's not the same root anymore. Keep this in mind. The other verb, so kataba is to write. We're gonna do to work. بالفصحى is amala. Usually students find verbs with ayn difficult, but ayn is a consonant. So amala, the 3 consonants are the ayn, the mim, and the lam. To read, qara'a. The 3 consonants of the root are, the 3 radicals are the qaf, the ra, and the hamza. So you see the hamza on the alif, that's a consonant. And finally, akala, which starts with a hamza, kaf, lam. Okay, I chose qara'a and akala because usually students find verbs with hamza, the spelling is a bit tricky. Okay, so we're gonna do this together. Yalla. Let's go ahead and start with kataba and amala. To write and to work. How do you conjugate a verb in the present tense بالفصحى بالمضارع? So you have every verb in the conjugation will get a prefix before the root. All of the personal pronouns will get a prefix. Some of them will get a suffix as well, but not all of them. You're gonna see which ones. The prefix is standard and it doesn't change no matter what the verb is, no matter what the root is. What you will learn here in red as prefix, you can use for any verb in the present tense. Okay, that's the beauty of the Arabic language. So let's start with ana. I write. The standard prefix for ana is the alif, hamza also. So look, it's not difficult because ana starts with alif, hamza. The verb starts with hamza on the alif as well. So this is the standard prefix. Now we take the root. What do we do with the root? The root, we keep the 3 consonants together in the right order. So kaf, ta, ba. Okay, so the short vowels, how are they gonna change in the conjugation? That will apply to all the other pronouns, almost. So the first radical is the kaf. The kaf, the first radical, always gets a sukoon, which means no vowel. Which means when you pronounce this, there is like a brief pause, or this defines the first syllable of the verb. So, ek. The second radical, which is the ta, will get a dhamma in this case. How do I know that? You have to learn that kataba gets a dhamma, the ta gets a dhamma in the present tense, بالمضارع. And that will never change. So you learn it once, you apply it always. This, the short vowel on the second radical can be a fatha, a dhamma, or a kasra. How do you know? You have to learn it. But once you know that it's a dhamma, then it's the dhamma for all the other pronouns as well. You don't have to change it per pronoun. So the second radical gets the dhamma, and the last radical gets a dhamma as well. How do you read it? أنا أكتب. أكتب. Repeat it. أنا أكتب. Okay. أنت. The prefix of أنت is always the ta. Then you take the root and you do exactly what you did here. So, kaf with sukoon, dhamma on the second radical, and dhamma on the last radical. Anta taktubu. Repeat it. Anta taktubu. Anti. The prefix for anti is again the ta. And I can tell you also that for all the second person, so anta, anti, antuma, it's the ta, antum, it's the ta. Always the second person gets the ta as a prefix. Okay? So, anti, now you take the root, but anti gets a suffix as well, which means we have to do some adjustments to the short vowels. However, the three radicals, they cannot change. It has to be kataba. The anti always gets the ina as suffix. Ina. The rest of the short vowels, they're also like the previous one. So tek, sukoon on the kaf, dhamma, taktubina. Repeat it. Anti taktubina. See, what we did to the root is exactly what was here. The only adjustment was there is no dhamma on the third radical. On the ba you have nothing, because there's another long vowel following the ba, so you don't need a short vowel here. Let's go to huwa. The prefix of huwa is always the ya. Now the rest is exactly the green part. So huwa yak tu bu. Yak, sukoon, dhamma, dhamma. Yaktubu. Repeat. Huwa yaktubu. Here. Here is like the second person. although it is the third person. It gets sorry it gets a ta as a prefix. So it is here ta, and the rest, the green part, is again exactly the same. Tak to bu. Tak to bu. Let's repeat it. هي تكتب. Bravo. نحن. What's the prefix of نحن? It is always the noon. فتحة. So نحن starts with a noon. The verb starts with a noon. نحن, نك, na, and the rest, the green part, is exactly the same. The root is with nek to bu. To bu. Antuma. Antuma is dual you. Okay, when you're talking to two persons, they could be two males, two females, or a man and a woman. It doesn't matter with the dual second person. So, أنتما تكتبان. So this one gets a suffix as well, just like anti. Till now, only anti got a suffix. You noticed? أنتما, it gets a suffix, but this stays the same. Kaf with sukun, ta with dhamma, ba. Then there is ani, so there is no need for the dhamma on the ba. So taktuba. Ni. This is the standard suffix for antuma, and this is the standard prefix. So let's repeat this. Antuma taktubani. Antum, suffix is ta, like we said. Then we take the root, again the kaf, ta, ba, kaf with sukun, ta with dhamma, ba, and we need the suffix here, which is una. That's as well a standard suffix for all verbs in the present tense, in the antum form. So antum taktubuna. Repeat. Antum taktubuna. So this is you plural, as of three, because antuma is two persons. As of three persons, you start using antum, and antum can be a mix of male, female, or only male. If there are more than three women, as of three women actually, then we have another pronoun, that's the antunna, and it's from as of three, so from three upwards. Only women. If there's one man with them, we go back to antum. Okay, so antunna, tak, again the root, the kaf with sukun, the ta with dhamma, the ba, and there's a suffix, so there's no need for a short vowel on the ba, and the suffix is like taktub. The suffix is just noon fatha. So it becomes antunna taktubna. ماشي. Okay, now let's go to the third person plural. Huma is dual, two males, or one male, one female. Then you have the huma for only two women. The conjugation is slightly different. So huma starts, the prefix is ya, and this one is ta. Okay, because it's female, it starts with ta, the male starts with ya. Just like the huwa and hiya. You see here, huwa the prefix is ya, hiya the prefix is ta. The masculine prefix is ya, feminine prefix is ta. Then we take the root exactly as it is. Yak, sukun, tu, dhamma, ba, and then a suffix which is ani. And so huma yaktubani. Again, huma yaktubani. This is so either two men or one man, one woman in the third person. Then huma, two women. So third person, two women, dual is huma taktubani. So here again we take the root, the kaf, sukun, ta, dhamma, ba, and the suffix is ani. So let's repeat this one. Huma taktubani. Notice one thing, all the duals till now, this is a dual. The pronoun of the duals ends with alif. Antuma, huma, huma. See, we have three duals till now. And that's it actually, there's only three duals. All of them have ani as suffix. Notice? So ani is the standard ending of the dual form in the present tense. Then we have hum, which is as of three person in the third person. So they. Hum. The prefix is like huwa. So hum, ya. Then we take the root, which is ka, ta, ba. And again, we put the sukun here, the dhamma here, and there is a suffix, which is una. No. So, hum yaktubuna. Repeat. Hum yaktubuna. So, how do you translate this? They are writing, or they write. As I told you, there is no difference between the simple present and the present continuous. So this can be translated as they write or they are writing. Hunna is the plural they, purely feminine. Not one male can be with them. Otherwise it's hum. Hunna. This one, the prefix is also with ya. And then we take the root as it is, kaf, ta, ba, yak, tub, and then the suffix is again nun fatha, like antunna. So that's the standard suffix for the plural feminine. So antunna taktubna, that's the second person. You women are writing. Hunna yaktubna. They, women, are writing. Repeat. هن يكتبن. تمام. So this was verb to write. All of these I can translate them to أنا أكتب. I can say it means I write, or I am writing. أنت تكتب. You write, or you are writing, etc. Let's do عمل now. To work. So we're doing now عمل, to work. Again, all we need to do, look at the prefixes and the suffixes. They don't change at all. What changes is just the root, عمل, and also the short vowels on the three radicals. So what happens with the root is the first radical, a, also gets a sukun. That's always the case in the present tense. The first radical of the root in the conjugation gets a sukun. Remember this. It applies to all form one verbs. So a, the second radical, the mim, gets a fatha. How do I know? I just know. That's how it is. Learn it, memorize it, accept it. Second radical gets the fatha, and the third radical gets again the dhamma, which is also, let's put it in red, because the dhamma here at the end is also standard. It applies to all verbs in the present tense. It becomes أنا أعمل. Repeat. أنا أعمل, which means I work, or I am working. أنت, again, تا. We apply the root just like we applied it with أنا. So it is أنت تعمل. So the vowels, the short vowels, are sukun, fatha, dhamma. Sukun, fatha, dhamma. That will not change throughout the whole conjugation. Yeah, only the dhamma, you do not put it, you do not apply it if there is a suffix after, because then you will get two vowels. Okay, so you will only omit this dhamma when there's a suffix. Otherwise, the ending is the dhamma. Then we go to anti, ta, so ayn with sukun, ma, lina. So this is the fatha, right? So anti, ta, sukun, fatha, lina. So ta'malina. Repeat. Anti ta'malina. You work. هو يعمل. يعمل. So ya, again عين with سكون, فتحة, ضمة. هو يعمل. He works. هي تعمل. Again, exactly the same logic. سكون, فتحة, ضمة. هي تعمل. نحن نعمل. نعمل. Repeat. نحن نعمل. We work. أنتما. You too. Again. تا سكون, ما لاني So now we get lam alif, so we have to adjust the alif to be written like this. You cannot write it like this when it's a lam alif. So أنتما تعملان. Still the suffix is ani. Oops. See? The suffix is ani. It's just that I write now the alif towards the, leaning towards the lam and not straight. You two work. أنتم تع عين والسكون ما لون. أنتم تعملون. You work, plural. أنتن, you, plural, feminine. تعملن. تعملن. Repeat. أنتن تعملن. Then we have the third person plural, dual. هما يعملان. Again here I have to adjust the alif. I cannot write it straight. يعملان. هما two females. تا سكون ما لاني. So do you get what I'm doing? I'm just applying the root exactly the same way for all pronouns, and the suffixes are exactly the same suffixes for all verbs. So هما تعملان. Two females. هم, which is they, male or male-female mixed. هم يعملون. هم يعملون. Finally, we have hunna, which is they, women, purely women, as of 3. hunna يعملن. Repeat. هن يعملن. So that was verb to work. عمل. Next, we're going to conjugate verbs. قرأ, to read, with the hamza at the end as the third radical, and to eat, أكل, with the hamza as the first radical. Let's start with قرأ. The prefixes are the same as for all verbs, remember? So what's the prefix of أنا? The alif, hamza. What's the prefix of أنت? تا. أنتِ, تا. هو is يا. Try to memorize this. هي is تا. نحن is نا. أنتما, أنتن, and أنتم, they're all the second person. like anta and anti. So what's the prefix? Exactly like anta and anti. So the prefix is always ta. Ta, ta, and ta. Okay, then we go to the third person. Huma, dual masculine, starts with ya, just like huwa. Huma, dual feminine, starts with ta, just like hiya. Hum, they, as of three, starts with ya, just like huwa. Hunna, they, women, starts with ya as well. Okay, the suffixes are also the same. We'll do them while we're conjugating. So what happens to the root qara'a when we conjugate? So the short vowels follow exactly the same pattern as what we did with kataba and amala, which means the first radical, which is the qaf, what does it get as a short vowel? Does it stay with fatha? La. It gets the sukoon, just like kataba and amala. The second radical, which is the ra, gets a fatha in this case. This you have to learn. Qara'a or fatha in the present tense. The third radical, which is the hamza, gets again the dhamma as ending, just like with kataba and amala. So how do you read this? Ana aqra'u. Again. Ana aqra'u. Anta. We know what's the prefix. We know what's the root. We just have to re-put it again with the ta. So tak, ra, u. So tak, ra, u. Anti. Tak, ra. Now, we've seen that the anti gets a suffix which is ina. We have to apply the suffix for all verbs. So, and it becomes now anti taqra'ina. So, I'm missing the hamza here. What do I do with the hamza here? I cannot write it as alif hamza. I cannot. Why? Because it is followed by the ya. We have learned before in the beginner's course actually how to write the hamza. If the hamza is preceded or proceeded with another vowel, then the seat of the hamza changes according to this vowel. And we've learned that the ya has the highest priority, which means if the hamza is followed by a ya or preceded by a ya, the seat of the hamza becomes the dotless ya. How do I write this then? The dotless ya is written the ya like this with no dots, and then it serves as the seat of the hamza. So it becomes taqra'ina. Taqra'ina. So you read or you are reading. Huwa. Here we have no suffix, so nothing. We just take the root exactly as we did for the ones with no suffix. So huwa yaqra'u. Then here, same thing. Here doesn't get a suffix either. So you just take the root as we did for the other ones. So here تقرأ. She reads or she is reading. نحن doesn't have a suffix either, so we take the root as it is. نقرأ. أنتما, it does have a suffix. As of now, all of them have suffixes. Okay, all of the dual and the plurals have suffixes. So أنتما, what do we do with the root? Tak, this doesn't change. Ra doesn't change, but the writing of the hamza changes. So we have here basically now a hamza followed by the suffix, which is ani. However, can I write it like this? La, because we've learned that the hamza followed by an alif becomes the madda. Therefore, I write it like this. Hamza followed by the alif is a madda, and I write it as an alif with a wave on top of it. And let me fix this a bit, the noon. So it becomes تقرأني, because the suffix of أنتما is the ani. So how do I pronounce this? أنتما تقرأني. أنتن تقرأ, these never change. Now تقرأ. What happens to the hamza now? The suffix is na, so the hamza stays تقرأ, and then the suffix na comes after the hamza, so nothing happens here to the hamza. أنتن تقرأن, which means you women, plural, read. Then we have أنتم, so you, plural, as of 3, male or mixed male female. أنتم تق, that's what happens to the root. تقرأ. Now we know that the suffix of أنتم is una, right? So how do we write the hamza? The hamza is followed by the waw, which means it has to change seats. The seat cannot be the alif anymore. Because it's followed by the waw, this hamza seat should be the waw as well. So this is now my hamza seated on the waw, followed by una as suffix. How do you write this? أنتم تقرؤون. Repeat. أنتم تقرؤون. Okay, we finished the second person, dual and plural. Now third person, dual and plural. Huma, masculine, feminine. The prefix is ya, and then I still have my root. Huma, yaqra, these never change, yaqra. And I know that my suffix is ani. What happens to the hamza now? So I still have the hamza of the root. I cannot write it like this. I join these two just like I did here, and they become a madda. So هما يقرأان يقرأان. Repeat. هما يقرأان. هما two women. Root is تقرأ تقرأ and exactly the same. And okay, so repeat. هما تقرأان. Now, hum, which is plural they, as of three, masculine, feminine. Hum, يقرأ, and my suffix is una. So here I have to adjust the writing of the hamza. يقرأ, and my suffix is una. No, sorry, my suffix is, una. How do I write my hamza, my third radical? Because it's followed by the vowel wow, the hamza seat should be the wow as well. And you read it like this. يقرؤون. una. Repeat. هم يقرؤون. Finally, hunna, plural feminine, as of three, purely women, they. The root, guess again, the kaf with sukun, that doesn't change at all. The ra with fatha doesn't change at all. So my suffix for hunna is just nun fatha. So it is yaqra na. And actually, the hamza on the alif, I shouldn't write it in red. I should write it in green because that's part of the root, right? The three-letter root. And only this is my suffix. So, hunna yaqra'na. They, women, read. So this was verb qara'a. Okay, it is more complicated because of the hamza as the third radical. Okay, but basically what happens to the root is exactly the same. The qaf in the conjugation always gets the sukoon, the ra always gets the fatha, and the hamza gets adjusted if it's followed by a suffix. So the seat of the hamza changes depending on which vowel follows the hamza. In this case, it can be the ya, because here it's followed by ya. It can be the hamza seat is the waw, because it's followed by the vowel waw. This was verb qara'a. Finally, let's go to verb akala. Akala has the hamza as the first radical. What does that mean for writing when I conjugate the verb? So the first ana gets a as a prefix. However, the first radical of the root is also a hamza. So you get what? Two hamza after each other? No, you cannot. So you write this hamza with this hamza, the first radical, as a madda comes. Alif. Madda. So now I already handled this part. And now I still have the other two radicals, the kaf and the lam of the root. Kaf, lam. So the kaf with verb akala gets a dhamma. And again, this is standard. The case ending is the dhamma on the lam. How do I pronounce this? أنا آكل. ماشي, which means I eat or I am eating. أنت. Now we don't have this problem anymore of hamza hamza. We just take the root as it is. So أنت تأكل. So كلو. Again, see, all of them will get a dhamma on the kaf and sometimes a dhamma on the lam. So, unless there is a suffix, then there's no dhamma on the lam. So standard, we continue with anti, ta, the root, ta, ku. Now I have a suffix, so there's no dhamma on the lam. تأكلين. You eat. أنت تأكلين. هو يأكل. Nothing special here. Hamza, kaf, lam. So, dhamma on the kaf, dhamma on the lam. هو يأكل. She eats. Here, again, nothing special here. تأكل. She eats. هي تأكل. نحن نأكل. Nothing special here either. نأكل. Because there's no suffix. Now all the rest they have suffixes. So أنتما تأكو. تأكو. This was from my previous one. I don't need the madda anymore here because there is no hamza in the third radical. So it is ta'ku. The third radical is a lam. And then my suffix is ani. The alif, I write it like this because it's a lam alif. And I pronounce this as ta'kulani. أنتما تأكلان. أنتن, you women. Ta, that's the root, the hamza of the root. Ta, kul, na. أنتن تأكلن. So every time I have a suffix, there is no dhamma on the lam. Antum, you, plural, as of 3. Antum, I put my fill in my roots. Ta, ku. Then I have the lam and no need for a dhamma. تأكلون. أنتم تأكلون. I finished the second person. Let me go to the third person, dual and plural. Third person, dual, masculine. هما, يا, I fill in my roots, يا, كل, and then ani it should be. So this here I don't have the madda because my third radical is not the hamza like in qara'a. Ya'kul, and the suffix is ani. Always ani for the dual. Huma ya'kulani. Then huma, feminine. Oh, sloppy. تأكلان. So this should be ألف not مادة. تأكلان. This should be red actually. هما تأكلان. هم, they, as of 3, masculine. هم يأكل. And I don't need the hamza with the seat. There's no hamza here. It's just يأكلون. هم يأكلون. They are eating or they eat. Hunna is they feminine, plural as of 3. Hunna, I fill in my root. يأكلن. They, women, eat. Hunna يأكلن. So see how logical and how regular it is. Basically, you have these red letters in suffixes and prefixes which never change unless there's the hamza as a third radical. Then you adjust the spelling a bit for the seat of the hamza. Otherwise, they never change, the prefixes and the suffixes. What changes is the root of the verb and what you how you do the tashkil on it, so the 3 small vowels. Once you know how it's done for ana or one of the persons, then you know how to do it for all the pronouns. With akala, dhamma on the kaf and dhamma on the lam. And when do I not put a dhamma on the lam? When there is a suffix following. And it's always like this, there are no exceptions. So it is logical, it is challenging, however, it's not very difficult. And the more you practice, the more verbs you conjugate, the easier it becomes. Try as well to make sentences with them. Make a different sentence with each pronoun, like أنا آكل تفاحة حمراء. أنت تأكل صحن أرز ودجاج. Okay, so make different sentences, that helps a lot, and say it aloud. So that was it. In order to practice, take other form 1 verbs and conjugate them in the same way I conjugated. So the root doesn't change. Add the prefixes and the suffixes and adjust the harakat. For more exercises and more on this topic, this is my book, Arabic Level 2, Modern Standard Arabic and Levantine Arabic, with lots of fun exercises and explanation, and a list of Form 1 verbs at the end, as well as vocabularies. You can get it via my website. يلا بشوفكن.